We went over to our friends, the Dockery's home, and they had a cookout, and everybody was having a good time. We probably had about 30 adults and children there at the house, and everything was going well. Amy felt a need to go find Kennedy.
And I immediately went to the pool and just skimming the top, looking for his little red swimsuit.
When she came back after searching for him with the other kids and in the front of the house and in the street, said she couldn't find him, and I got up to go help her look for Kennedy, and just like she did, I went out to the pool, looked there first, and didn't see him there, and then went to the front of the house where a lot of cars were parked on the road, thinking that would be the next worst place he could be, would be playing in between the cars. And at that point, what I'll never forget is my oldest son screaming and hollering for me, "Daddy, Daddy, we found Kennedy at the bottom of the pool." And at that time, 9 and 10-year-old little children dove 9 feet down in the bottom of a pool and drug Kennedy off the bottom of the pool, dead weight, bloated, full of water, and got him up to the side of the pool before I even got there. When I got to him, he was unresponsive. He had no respirations. He had no pulse. His pupils were dilated and fixed. He had no heartbeat. And at that point, we started working on him.
To hear those screams, and as a mother, it's the worst fear and the worst nightmare you can imagine, seeing your child dead on the concrete.
At 2.5 minutes, he still didn't have a pulse. He still had no respirations. His pupils were still fixed at that time. And it wasn't until about 5 minutes into it, and probably about 15 to 20 minutes since he had gone under, to our best recollection, from the time that we didn't find him to the time that we did find him, that he took his first little breath. So we loaded him up in the truck and we took him to DCH Regional Medical Center, and they started working on him and got him on the ventilator at that point. And they knew immediately they didn't need to be at DCH, that they were not equipped to handle that kind of emergency, and they called Lifesaver to come in and get him. The helicopter got there and got him up in the air, and he was in Birmingham before we could even get to Bessemer at that point. We finally got to Children's Hospital, and finally the doctors were able to come in and talk to us a little bit. And the first doctor came in, and he told us everything was really bad at this point, but that there was still hope. And it's funny how God gives you little things to just sort of have encouragement. The doctor that was on that night, it was his last night on, and he was the right man for the job at that time, and we were so thankful for him. But things that he probably will never know meant so much to us were simple things like his name. My brother-in-law that passed away was an avid deer hunter. My kids just adored him. We called him the Buckmaster. And so we're asking the nurse the name of the doctor, and she just looked at us nonchalant and said, "Oh, that's Dr. Buckmaster." And then we were sent another doctor who was the perfect doctor at that time to help take care of our needs. Dr. Winkler, being a female, was able to talk to Amy about sort of what was going on at that time, and she was really able to sort of talk to me, physician to physician, and to Amy as a mom, and really helped us through this process. From that time on, we just kept praying, and the doctors there were wonderful. The nurses were wonderful. By Saturday, they stopped paralyzing him. They stopped giving him any kind of pain medicine. By Saturday night, we were able to talk to him a little bit and say, "Hey, little buddy, you doing okay?" And he'd nod his head, and we'd ask him different questions. He'd nod his head to answer. Dr. Winkler finally came in on Tuesday and said, "You know, he looks pretty good, but, you know, I don't know these readings. Let me think about it." And I just knew that day was going to be the day. She came back in later and said, "All right, we're going to take him off the ventilator." And she said, "But if he goes bad, we'll put him right back on. You got to understand that." And we're fine with that. He's not going back on. And she pulled that tube, and he coughed, and he sputtered, and he spit, and he had a little gravelly voice at that point. A week later, we're leaving Children's Hospital with our little boy. From the time that he left that hospital, he just kept getting better and better, and really we have not seen any physical problems or neurological problems at all.
We give the glory to the Lord, but we know that our son would not be here without that facility, without those doctors, without those nurses. And the care that we were given will never be forgotten.
We thank Children's Hospital so much for that.